women when it comes to relationships. For example, if there's a woman that is really adamant about being right about something, her man will analyze very quickly in the background whether or not him proving himself right is going to lead him down the path of happiness.
That's exactly it. The more aggressive a woman becomes, the louder the attitude, the heavier the entitlement, the stronger the urge men feel to back away. This isn't about being afraid of strong personalities. It's about energy. Men naturally move toward peace, respect, and cooperation. When a woman shows up with constant tension or a competitive, combative vibe, it signals drama. And most men, especially men who've built something worth protecting, don't invite drama into their lives. Here's the twist that stings. The women who act this way are often the ones who've already hit the wall. In other words, they're past the stage where beauty and youth automatically bring options, but they still expect the same attention they once received. Instead of adapting with grace and self-awareness, they doubled down, becoming even more aggressive, thinking that force will get them what charm once did. But force doesn't attract, it repels. And the more men quietly opt out, the more these women misread the silence as fear, when really it's just men choosing peace over chaos.
Recreational use only. You don't marry those women. That's a bad move for you as a man.
Why? Because of the baggage? Because of the kids? Because of the just...
There's far too much risk. Well, we already know that marriage is terrible for men in general. You get marrying a single mother, now you're bringing kids into the equation that you're going to have to provide and protect for that aren't your own seed. And if that woman breaks up with you, now you're going to get hit with a double whammy if you lose her and the kids that you built an attachment with.
Is that the biggest L you can take?
It's going to be...
What's the worst L you can take?
Marrying a single mom is very bad. As a man, it is not in your best interest to marry a single mother. I know a bunch of people, oh my God, that's so bad. The reality is when you look at it from a logical perspective, you take on way too much risk because now you might lose that woman. And then on top of that, every kid that you build an attachment with. And
here's the blunt reality most people tiptoe around. Kids are baggage. Divorce is baggage. And yes, body count can be baggage too. Not because a child or a past relationship is inherently bad, but because every life decision carries weight. The older a woman gets, the more life experience she brings to the table. That's normal. But somehow, many believe age should come with greater entitlement instead of greater humility. It's as if more history, more responsibilities, and more complications should raise the price instead of lower the risk for the man who's signing up. Think about it from a man's perspective. Why would he volunteer to raise another man's child financially, emotionally, and legally if he can start fresh with someone who brings fewer complications? Why would he willingly deal with ex-spouses, custody battles, or lingering emotional scars when he doesn't have to? This isn't cruelty. It's simple value exchange. Men and women both weigh trade-offs when choosing a partner. Yet when men apply the same standards, women openly voice like preferring youth, fertility, or a clean slate. They're shamed as shallow. The truth, they're just being rational in a dating market that punishes naivety.
Could be even a little bit intimidating, you know, because single moms, they have a lot of responsibilities. And,
yeah, and you got to step up, especially if you've never even had kids.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you have to realize that I feel like you are, I don't know if I can, you will always be choice number 2. Do you agree?
Once you reach a certain age or you have kids, you can't sit there and like demand the same quality of man anymore. If I walked around and I was like, yo, I want a bad bitch. Bad bitches need to like me even though I'm a fat slob. Yeah, like take me as I am. Like just accept me for being a fat slob. 29, you have a child, you can't demand certain caliber of men anymore, unfortunately. So then you got 2 options. It's either I'm gonna lower my standards and live in reality of what I can actually attract a child.
That analogy might sound harsh, but it captures a truth that a lot of men quietly calculate. Marrying a single mom often comes with built-in challenges that can't simply be wished away. Think about it. When a man steps into that situation, he's not just choosing a partner, he's stepping into an existing family dynamic. There's an X in the background, a child who deserves stability and financial obligations that will always come first. Love might be real, but those realities don't disappear. The high mileage car metaphor isn't about shaming a woman for having a child, it's about risk. A car with history can still run beautifully, but the maintenance, the past accidents, and the extra passengers are part of the deal. A man has to decide if he's willing to invest his time, energy, and resources into a package that another man already signed off on. And here's the kicker. The very word single mother proves someone once said yes. Another man had access. but for whatever reason, he's no longer there. That raises questions any serious man is going to ask. It doesn't mean she's unworthy of love. It means the stakes are higher. And men who understand their own value weigh those stakes carefully before signing up.
Being married and miserable or single and lonely?
Single and lonely, as long as I have my money. If you not my thought process, I cannot have you around me because you're going to fuck up my life.
Can you be lonely and not miserable?
You can be lonely and have a blast. 9 times out of 10, when somebody tells you they're lonely, are they happy?
No.
Are they happy?
No.
I disagree.
Are they happy?
I've been lonely
I
and happy.
disagree.
You can be lonely and happy. You cannot be miserable and happy. It doesn't make sense.
When I'm feeling lonely, it's easier for me to feel loved if I go around people I love. When I'm miserable, I could be around y'all and I'm still
miserable.
Keep in mind podcast. Yeah.
Men today really do seem to fall into two broad camps, and neither one is winning. The first camp is what you might call the weak men, the ones who bend to every demand, chase approval, and hand over their time, money, and energy without ever setting boundaries. They think if they give enough, they'll finally earn respect. But all they earn is quiet resentment and exhaustion. The second camp is the blue pill believers, the romantics, who still think that if they just stay nice and patient, a woman will eventually reward them with genuine love. They're not malicious. They're hopeful. But hope without discernment keeps them trapped in a system that rarely gives back what they're offering. Both groups are stuck in a mindset where a woman's validation defines a man's worth. And that's the trap. The real win isn't to swing to cold indifference or blind servitude, to step out of the game entirely, to build strength, purpose, and self-respect first, and let relationships grow out of mutual value instead of desperation.
The sexual power that women have when they're young falls off a cliff in extraordinary rapidity. Now, here's the thing, though, is that when we're young and we have less sexual market value than women, supply and demand, hormones and receptivity, we can screw up for a while, and I'm sure everyone has, I know I have, but then you can recover, right? So, I went to theater school. I got a history degree because I'm all about the earning, right? But then I was like, wake up, dude. And I went and started a software company. So you can shake it off and you can turn things around. If a woman takes full advantage of that sexual magnetism of youth and, hoingo boingos around the community, then by the time she hits her late 30s, it's too late. And then you get like a half century of regret. And one of my biggest tweets was me just saying, women, your eggs die at 40, you live to 80. What are you going to do?
It's a brutal comparison, but many men feel it in their bones in the past. A man who died in battle faced a clear, honorable end. Today, a man can lose everything in a divorce and still be forced to keep living inside the wreckage. Think about what that really means. One court decision can strip a man of his home, drain his finances, separate him from his children, and leave him carrying the emotional weight of failure while he still has to wake up, go to work, and keep functioning. There's no hero's send-off, no medal for sacrifice, just ongoing obligations and the quiet ache of watching your purpose, your identity, and even your dignity get dismantled piece by piece. That's why so many men are cautious about marriage today. It's not because they hate women. It's because they've watched friends, brothers, and fathers lose everything they built in an instant. In ancient times, risk meant a sword. Now, the risk is legal paperwork, and the wounds it leaves can last a lifetime.
Having a kid helps or hurts your dating life at 30?
I mean, they wanted me when I was pregnant, so I don't know. I have a little girl, I don't know.
But you think they wanted you to commit, or they just wanted to, have fun with you?
I think definitely a lot of guys go for girls who have kids because they think that most girls who have kids, they don't value themselves. They think that, oh, this guy doesn't have a kid, I have a kid, so I gotta put up a shit.
Were you married to your baby father?
Yes.
Are you looking to get remarried?
No. Hell no. You know how many married men I have in my DMs? Never. I'm not doing it.
How soon would you let your new man meet your daughter?
Oh my gosh, never. I don't ever. I have, this is a scary world as a girl mom. I've had men be like, oh, your daughter's so beautiful. Like, I can just picture myself with you and your daughter. I don't know. If my kid's asleep and they try, oh, your kid's asleep, can I slide through? No, it's a no. If my kid's there, you're not sliding through.
Last weekend, when you weren't answering my calls, I went to a party with Brian, and I went home with him, and I slept with him.
Yeah, I know what happened. We planned this all out.
What do you mean you planned it out?
Well, Brian bet me $50 and a pack of cigarettes that he could sleep with you. So now I'm down $50 and a pack of cigarettes.
You're a sorry piece. You're nothing special. You're not going to come into between our friendship and change anything just because you have.
Here's a quiet strategy most men never see coming. Many women gain influence not by showing strength, but by portraying weakness. It works like this. When a woman presents herself as fragile, in need, or overwhelmed, it awakens a deep instinct in men to drive to protect and provide. Suddenly, he's stepping up, offering time, money, and emotional energy, believing he's being noble. But in that moment, the balance of power shifts. The game of love starts to feel like a battlefield because it's no longer about mutual partnership. It's about leverage. The appearance of vulnerability motivates men to commit and invest, while the woman quietly controls the pace, the rules, and the outcome. This doesn't mean every woman is scheming, but the dynamic is real, and it's been reinforced for generations. Men need to recognize when their protective instincts are being triggered on purpose, not to harden their hearts, but to stay awake. Love isn't a trap if both sides play fair. It becomes a trap only when one side hides power behind a mask of helplessness.
I got divorced. It was difficult to imagine what my life would look like. I don't look at my dating life as a failure. I also don't look at my 10-year marriage ending as a failure. When my husband left, there was an immediate sense of relief. I want to take a moment and read this comment. All I heard was, blah, blah, blah. I left my husband because my happiness was more important than my kids' well-being, and I'm a selfish person and a miserable wife. I'm 38. I'm single. That's by choice because I left my 10-year marriage because I experienced a lot of psychological abuse. First dates are just supposed to be a vibe check. Are you actually attracted to the other person? Is there some chemistry? Can you have fun together? I'm 38 and single, and I would never go on a walk or a hike date for a first date. I have done full background checks on men before first dates. I only date great men, and I only have positive experiences while dating. Positive experiences. I dated this guy and we were having like kind of the exclusivity talk, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to delete my dating apps. And he's like, yeah, I think I'm just going to keep mine. I did it again. I begged a mediocre man to love me when he obviously did not have the emotional capacity to do so. And what's so frustrating is that I have to...
It's a sharp observation, but one that resonates with a lot of men today. Many women don't seem to be looking for a true partnership. They're looking for a lifelong financial arrangement. The pattern is old as time. Throughout history, the women who were best at influencing male behaviors, subtly or overtly, were the ones whose genes carried forward. Persuasion, emotional leverage, and strategic dependence became survival skills. Fast forward to today, and those instincts haven't disappeared. They've just been modernized. That's why so many men sense that relationships can feel less like love and more like a never-ending contract. Provide resources, absorb complaints, and never question the deal. And when a man opts out, chooses to focus on his own path instead of signing up for the arrangements, some women respond with outrage. Not because he wronged them, but because he broke the unspoken rule. They said, be kind, be supportive, be generous, expecting it as a test of strength, not a literal agreement. But when men actually take those words at face value and then refuse the hidden bargain, it exposes the game. And nothing frustrates a player more than someone who stops playing by the script.
Y'all saying y'all wouldn't date single mothers, have never dated a single mother a day in your life. You just have this negative stigma on single mothers because you're applying a shit ton of stereotypes to her that society has indoctrinated you to do so.
I let them know off rip, I got kids. You can either deal with it or not. You can either come through the door or lock it on your way back out.
Okay, and my answer to that is most guys are not going to. That's the man you described.
Your opinion, a lot of women won't.
It's not. I need you to be objective here. What I'm telling you is the man that you described is extremely rare. If you can go ahead and get a younger woman that doesn't have children and doesn't have these things kind of that would potentially weigh him down and hurt his ability to earn money and or save money, he's probably going to go with that. And then also, interestingly enough, when we ask you about
Single mothers don't understand that the second they get single mothers, even if they are good mothers, no one ever complains about that. It doesn't mean your value is not lower. The second you become a mother, your value in the marketplace of dating is completely lowered. Men do not prefer to be with women that have kids.
What do you bring to the table?
Everything. I got 2 kids, you know what I mean? So everything. If you're willing to provide for my kids, then everything.
Everything like what?
My kids, my life, my mental health, everything, like everything. Everything you want to know about me, I'll bring to the table for sure.
What the
It never gets better.
How are your kids are going to be an asset to me if I was dating you?
I would never date a man that ever asked me no craziness like that. I would. I'm gonna tell you right now. Any man that's gonna ask you a question like that thinks that he's doing you a favor by dating you as a single parent, and you should be grateful. And that's how he's going to treat you and your children, as if y'all should be grateful that he is willing to tolerate you and your offsprings. Okay, I would never what can your children? What benefit are your children to me? What the honestly? What kind of question is that even? And what woman? As a woman, any woman who thinks that this is an acceptable question, I want to know what answer would you give someone that asks you that? Because to me, now I automatically know my children are not safe in your presence, and I would never allow my children to be around you. I would never allow my children I would never bring anyone into my home that feels like, well, if I'm going to date you, what benefit are your children to me? To you? What the fuck? What do you mean by that? I really can't wrap my mind around it because it just doesn't make sense. What do you mean? What benefit are they to you? What benefit are you to them? What benefit is me bringing you into our lives?
Here's the raw reality. Most men don't sugarcoat. When a woman has children from a previous relationship, any man stepping in is automatically taking on more than just a partner. He's taking on responsibility for someone else's life. Ask yourself, what benefit does he actually bring to her kids? Because in the vast majority of cases, he's expected to put food on the table, provide a roof over their heads, make sure their clothes are taken care of, and do all of this while being appreciated just as the man. It's not a partnership. It's a heavy-duty caretaking role that many men aren't willing to volunteer for. That's why some of the older, wiser advice still applies. If a woman wants support for her kids, she should first see what the biological father is contributing. If he's doing his job, a new man isn't needed to fill those gaps. From a dating market perspective, men without children are seen as the prize free from baggage with the ability to invest fully in a new relationship. Women with kids, unfortunately, are often perceived as a liability because bringing someone else's children into the mix adds complication, risk, and responsibility. And the kicker, women who have never been married but are still dating later in life, sometimes referred to as leftover women, are navigating a completely different dynamic. They don't have kids yet, but the cultural pressures and expectations still weigh heavily. For men, evaluating value versus risk becomes a careful calculation.
Most of y'all saying y'all wouldn't date single mothers have never dated a single mother a day in your life. You just have this negative stigma on single mothers because you're applying a shit ton of stereotypes to her that society has indoctrinated you to do so.
I let them know off rip, I got kids. You can either deal with it or not. You can either come through the door or lock it on your way back out.
Okay, and my answer to that is most guys are not going to. That's the man you described.
Your opinion, a lot of women won't.
It's not. I need you to be objective here. What I'm telling you is the man that you described is extremely rare. If you can go ahead and get a younger woman that doesn't have children and doesn't have these things kind of that would potentially weigh him down and hurt his ability to earn money and or save money, he's probably going to go with that. And then also, interestingly enough, when we ask you about
single mothers don't understand that the second they get single mothers, even if they are good mothers, no one ever complains about that. It doesn't mean your value is not lower. The second you become a mother, your value in the marketplace of dating is completely lowered. Men do not prefer to be with.
Here's the irony that gets overlooked in so many modern dating debates. Men aren't sitting around demanding a walking checklist of perfection like some caricature suggests. Sure, you hear women say things like, I want a 5 feet 8 inches supermodel, 8% body fat, 7-figure income, perfect credit score, and someone who spoils me endlessly. But pause for a second. Flip the script. When men start applying the same logic, the situation becomes laughable. Men want respect, loyalty, shared purpose, and a partner who complements their life, not a living, breathing set of metrics to tick off. The difference here isn't just in standards, it's in perspective. Men measure compatibility and value through contribution, character, and alignment, whereas many women still approach dating with the mindset of negotiation. Does he check all the boxes, or is he out? And that's why so much frustration builds on both sides. Men are tired of chasing perfection, while women often wonder why men don't step up when they're busy evaluating unrealistic expectations. It's a mirror. The moment you reflect the energy back, the comedy and the hypocrisy becomes crystal clear. At the end of the day, knowing your worth isn't arrogant, it's necessary. And when both sides start doing that, the dating game suddenly looks a lot less like chaos and a lot more like reality.
I find it really stupid when I see men trying to make it a point that single mother standards are way too high. But wouldn't you think that a good mother or a good woman, period, would want the best for her children and want the best around her children? So you best believe that my standards are going to be through the roof. At this point, my standards are so high, I think I'm looking for Jesus Christ himself. Because, baby, I devote my life to being a mother and being a good woman so I can be a good mother. So yes, if you want to mess with me on that type of level, you need to prove to me why you are worthy of my time and why you are worthy to be in my child's presence on a consistent basis. Because I'd rather be alone forever than have my time wasted. So let me just make this clear. Don't take me being a single mother with a grain of salt. Just know that I work my ass off and I'm tired, okay? But I work my ass off as I should. So if you come into my life, you should be making things easier, not harder. And
here's the truth. No one's sugarcoating. A single mom with high standards can absolutely have them. But the hard reality is that no one owes her a relationship just because she wrote out a wish list. Life isn't about entitlement. It's about mutual value. If you've got kids, a baby daddy's still in the picture, and years of history behind you, that's baggage. It's not schmitz, just reality. Men aren't wrong for factoring that in. And aging out of peak dating leverage, that's biology and market dynamics, not cruelty. Standards work both ways. A man has them too. Just because someone meets a checklist doesn't mean he's automatically interested or willing to step into a complex situation. Relationships are a two-way street, and respect flows both directions. This isn't about shaming women. It's about facing the honest dynamics of dating today. High standards are fine, but expecting someone to bend their life, values, and priorities to meet yours, that's where reality checks in. Thanks for watching. As always, we're looking forward to your support. Hit like, share with your friends, and subscribe to stay updated on everything all kings like yourself need to know.